Welcome to week 2. This week we're looking at the USDA, as can be seen in the emblem on your screen. An agency created in 1862, and as their motto says, agriculture is the foundation of manufacture and commerce. So really there as an agency to promote agriculture and farming in the 1860s following the Civil War, and to protect against imports. And it would be great if we had a time machine, something like the TARDIS, to go back to 1906 to see and interview Congress at the time, and interview the congressional committees, participate in those congressional hearings, to understand why the Congress at that time took the approach for 2 pieces of legislation and 2 agencies. And what we'll talk about in the audio lecture is the reactionary model that Congress works from, and how we've had a proliferation of executive agencies that makes looking back a little difficult, because we say, why not create a new agency? Why not do something more holistic, more large scale? And that just didn't exist in 1906. We're also going to look at the 1907 to 1960 period. That's probably the most active period. We have a series of amendments for USDA and FDA, but USDA we have amendments including the inclusion of poultry, eggs, humane slaughter. So quite a few changes happening there. Wholesome Meat Act, which is updating the FMI. And we're going to look to see that fragmented approach, the effects of that, how an incremental approach maybe isn't the best, and sort of a piece that I like to talk about is the names that matter, why we are calling it the Food Safety Inspection Service, and sort of what the predecessor names were, and how that tells us something about the importance, both publicly and internally, of those agencies. The key questions that we're going to have in this week, and is going to carry through to next week, and really to the core of what we're talking about this week, is how 1906 maybe has set us up for failure. As we continue to compare these agencies, the question we have to keep asking is it the fact that we have 2 agencies that's the problem, that's creating some gaps in our systems or some inefficiencies in our system? Or is it that the 1906 acts have sort of set in stone the idea that these need to be separated? And is there a way that we can fix that by having both of these agencies, the FSIS and Center for Food Safety, at least within the FDA, in one umbrella under one agency? And in the audio lecture, we'll touch on that just a little bit, because there is a period of about 40 years, 1906 to about 1938, 1940, where that was the case. And we can kind of learn some lessons from there and have that inform us as we go in. And one of the key questions that's going to overarch all of this as we get into this topic and carry through into the final week is, how do we fill in the gaps? And I think what we'll start to find is that at the federal level, the gaps are what they are, and we have to fill them in at the state, tribal level, and at the private level. And one of the examples we'll talk about in the audio lecture is humane slaughter, and how that has sort of left a gap for humane holding of animals, caging and production of animals, what kind of conditions they're kept in, and how that's been filled in now with things like cage-free and grass-fed, and the number of claims we can see on products to describe something that's not in the regulations and something that's not enforced, but is a gap that's there. So we're going to hit on all these topics, building sort of a knowledge base as we continue to compare these agencies, and I'll join you in the audio lecture.